Hi there, and welcome to this Hockey Inside Out Show bonus episode. I'm Stu Cowan of the Gazette, joined by my regulars here, Chris Nilan and Rick Green, former Canadiens teammates, winners of the 1986 Stanley Cup. Knuckles, Marty St. Louis, year 3 in this rebuild, has the Canadiens battling for a playoff spot, which was the goal. Should he be in consideration for Coach of the Year this season?
I think he could be. Depends, obviously, if they make the playoffs. But, that's a tough one. How about the coach of the Capitals? How about, some of those coaches out west, too? Like, I like the job he's done. And believe me, I'd love to see him win it. I just don't know if they're going to put him in the mix. They make the playoffs. That's a possibility. I would like to see him there because he has done a hell of a job with his team over the past 3 years. I think we're seeing now the culmination of his persistence, his maybe correcting some things as a coach that he had to make this team more effective and win hockey games. And one of those was in the defensive end of the rink, right? It certainly was. Like what did we talk about on this show for so long? How bad they were in their own end. That has changed. And I think certainly it has a lot to do with, not just the players, but the players have to play within a system that they feel confident they're going to be able to be effective and win. And you're starting to see it, I look back when we played, we were so confident down low in our own end. It was second nature for us. We were okay with it. We didn't panic. Yeah, we're going to make mistakes. There were going to be goals scored, but boy, we limited them. And that's something this team has to be effective at moving forward and stick with that. But that has a lot to do with the coach making those adjustments. So, I'd love to see him be considered for sure. I don't know if he will.
I think we're seeing the patience be rewarded, right? Rick, when he came in here, he said, there's a book of what he wants to teach these guys. He's not going to throw the whole book. He's going to go page by page, chapter by chapter. There's times he might need to go back and redo a chapter to get them to learn it. But they do seem to be on the same page now. What's impressed you just about the way Marty's handled everything?
Well, the results dictate a lot. I'll give him honorable mention when it comes down to a pretty good award like that, Coach of the Year, and he's made great strides, I think, as a coach and as a group. But if you look at Carberry in Washington, 98 points. They've been there. They've been good the whole year. Arneal, Winnipeg, been there the whole year. Very, very seldom did you see them dip as far as their win-losses go. Even Hines in Minnesota has done, I think, a hell of a job. So there's a lot of guys that are having excellent years from the get-go. And I think that when you're looking at Coach of the Year kind of stuff, those kind of guys, I think, should be recognized as one that are deserving of something like that. And I'm so impressed with Washington, with what they're doing result-wise and as a group. And they got a good thing going on there. And again, I mentioned about Winnipeg. They're having a hell of a year too.
Well, Neil's done a hell of a job there, Greeny. Yeah.
He stepped in there, and they've been good all year. So it's going to be interesting down the stretch. But those two for me are,
the Washington thing with you though, talking about Carberry. That's like talking about an ex-girlfriend. Stop, will you? Like, they gave you a jacket down there for the 50th anniversary. Now you're going to throw them props. Stop, will you? They bought you. They bought you, Greeny.
They made my career down there learning how to play defense for.
Well, they owed you something, eh, Rick? After all those teams you have to play for.
It's tough, but somebody had to do it.
Knuckles, Marty has said many times that he thinks communication is the number one most important thing for a coach. And as he's also said, you're like a salesman trying to sell things. Do you agree with that? Who was the best communicator as a coach you had?
I thought Lemaire was very good at communicating. Listen, he just didn't come in and, blow steam. Anytime he communicated a message, it was something that he was teaching you, and he would tell you why. We hear about kids today, they want to know why. Back in the day, it made me feel good when he would do drills with me and tell me why these are going to apply to me and how I'll be able to use them in a game. So for me, he was probably the best communicator. When I think back, Claude Rell,
Yankee boy
on the ice, we just worked together, and he didn't say much. He'd say a few things, you got to do this, you got to do that. But I think of Jean Perron when he was talking. I didn't know what the hell he was saying, so he confused the shit out of me, to be honest with you. And Bob Berry was just a grumpy bastard who, come on, let's go over and back, 3 laps.
And
he
love
could
to
communicate that well.
to spit tobacco.
Huh?
I love to spit tobacco all over the ice.
God. But he could communicate over and back pretty well. And, Roger Nielsen was pretty good at it, but you kind of had to pry him. Bergie, another coach of mine, he was just he was fun. He was pretty good at communicating the message. And I had Milbury in Boston. I like Mike. He was, he had a way of communicating, but it was pretty cut and dry, black and white, But listen, I can see how Marty is that way. And I've had a bunch of the guys on the podcast, and that's the first thing they alluded to, how refreshing it was to have a coach like that. And he's really, he'd been good. He'd been really good with these guys, and it's starting to show.
Rick, you were an assistant coach of the Canadiens for quite a while with Claude Julien. What did you like about the way Claude Julien handled himself as a head coach?
I think he tried to be fair, tried to be consistent in the message he was delivering, tried to make sure that everybody was held accountable except for Kovalev. But, his mission was it's team, it's defense, and everybody has to follow the program, or you're out. And that's what I liked about him. He just tried to strive on our defensive zone play first, commitment, and just getting everybody to play within that system. And that was the bottom line. But I do have to mention Pat Burns as a guy that I really enjoyed my experience with him, even though he did steal my voting books when I was sleeping on the plane. I liked him. His bark was bigger than his bite, but he was a guy that had a pretty good feel of what button to push on which guy and when to go and when not to go. And he was a lot of fun.
Well, if the Canadiens do get into the playoffs, I think Marty said we'll get some consideration for Coach of the Year. You guys make some great points about those other teams, Washington and Minnesota, Winnipeg, etc. Anyway, that's it for this Hockey Inside Out Show bonus episode. I hope you all enjoyed it out there. Please like and subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel. Go to MontrealGazette.com/newsletters to sign up for the Hockey Inside Out newsletter. And go to HockeyInsideOut.com, where every day you'll get all the latest Canadiens news. Also, if you have a bonus question you'd like us to answer in a future bonus episode of the show, please put it in the comment section below.